Hey, this is Matt and welcome back to the channel, everybody. Good to see you once again. Guys, I'm going to be sharing with you results of 10 guys on Reddit who decided to go with the most prescribed anti-hair loss medication worldwide, aka Finasteride, and thus avoid a potential deep fall into the hair loss abyss. Was it a good decision for these guys? How well they were able to A, stabilize their hair loss, B, thicken their existing hair, C, regrow new hair, or D, did some of these guys lose hair despite being on finasteride, and did their hairline continue to recede despite being on this drug? We'll find out in this video. And before we start, this video has been brought to you by GoFiber, which are hair building fibers you can use to mask any thinning or patchy areas on your scalp to make your hair look thicker and better. So make sure you check out the link in the video description below where you can visit GoFiber, get a free sample of your choice and try them out. See if you like them. Hey, welcome back to the channel once again. If you are new, you want to learn how to manage your hair loss properly, you want to catch it early on so you can still enjoy a full head of hair for as many years as possible without getting a hair transplant, you should subscribe to this channel right now. But also, if you want to learn about hair transplants, you should also subscribe to the channel because this is also a very hot topic I'm discussing in my weekly videos, what I've been doing for the last 3-4 years already, and how to get your hair transplant the best way, how to maximize the success of your hair transplant. This is what I'm discussing as well, so make sure you subscribe if this is something that you are interested in. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. Now let's talk about 10 guys who I selected on Reddit. I was looking for guys who were on finasteride for at least 1 year because we know that 80 to 85% of finasteride hair regrowth or hair thickening ability will be seen after 12 months, and this has been shown in studies. Obviously you can get still more benefits in the second year, even in the third year potentially, but let's say 80 to 85% will be noticeable after 12 months. All right guys, this is our first candidate who posted his results on Reddit. It's a 2-year progress, daily finasteride use of 1.25 milligram. He's also microneedling. I'm gonna talk about this later, but I don't think he's using minoxidil. At least he didn't state it. These are the before results, by the way. We can see that the hairline is receding, especially on the photo here. Shows a Norwood 2 to Norwood 3 hairline transition. So this is the 2-month result where some guys could already claim that there is already some regrowth. This is day 0. This is 2 months already. This is the month number 3, and it's not a big difference in my opinion. But then we have month number 12, so it's 1 year already. So that's already a difference. If we compare month number 12 or 1 year mark compared to the start, we can see that the hairline got definitely thicker after 1 year mark, and he's coming back. He's coming back from that Norwood 2 to Norwood 3 transition into like a solid Norwood 2, to be honest. He looks like a solid Norwood 2 again. It looked like definitely Norwood 2 to Norwood 3 transition, but now after 12 months he's back to a solid Norwood 2, if not even a Norwood 1.5, but I don't know how his original juvenile hairline used to be. So based on that, he might be here already like a Norwood 2 or Norwood 1.5 even, based on how his hairline used to be naturally. This is after 18 months and this is after 2 years, so it seems like he's still able to maintain what he has been able to achieve by the 12-month mark. He's able to maintain this after 2 years as well. So here we can definitely talk about hair loss stabilization, hair thickening, and potentially even hair regrowth on his temples here. This is a pretty good response in my opinion. This is our second candidate with diffuse hair loss along the whole mid-scalp, a portion of his vertex as well, with that island of hair, which some guys have naturally, that some hair in the frontal third will be preserved while the rest is thinning or diffusely thinning. He was using 1 milligram finasteride per day for 12 months, and this is his mid-scalp after 12 months. So if we compare it, we see a thickening, especially in the frontal third, around the island pretty much. I think think he just achieved like hair loss stabilization overall on his mid-scalp and crown, and the only visible hair thickening is occurring in the frontal third, where he actually had the most hair that finasteride could work with. Because honestly, finasteride works best on average if candidates have still some hair which is present on the scalp, and ideally it's not more than 50% miniaturized. If it's less than 50% miniaturized, then finasteride should work pretty well. This shows us a slightly different angle where I would actually take back something I said just a while ago, because we clearly see that the vertex actually looks pretty decent, and it actually looks like it got thicker, and also the mid-scalp. So that's the 12-month photo from a different angle and slightly different lighting, and this is the before photo. So actually I would say that the mid-scalp got a little bit thicker, and also the hair on the crown got thicker if we compare this to this, but it can be also a different lighting. Anyways, this is his hairline before and this is after. There might be a minor improvement, especially in the very middle point of his hairline, where we see some thinning here and here. We don't see that thinning to be that visible anymore. I don't know. Let me know what you think. There might be a very little improvement in the center of the hairline, but not as much in his corners. I think his corners are receding the same. Now, he also is saying that it's not the most amazing transformation, but he thinks there has been an improvement in the density, and that's really something that he can assess the best. He has also the feeling that the areas in the mid-scalp are now looking more connected with the island of hair at the front than before, which is great, and he's happier with how it looks. And yeah, he's considering a hair transplant in the future. So definitely the response is there. I would say hair loss stabilization, hair thickening, especially in the frontal third, and hair regrowth, not so much in this case as it was in with the first guy. And as far as further hair loss, despite of being on finasteride, I wouldn't say so. I don't think that he has lost more hair despite being on finasteride. It actually looks like he's coming back slowly. This is the guy number 3 who has been on finasteride for 3 years, and he's giving us an update. And this is his hairline. On the left you can see his hairline when he was like 23, and on the right we see his hairline pretty much the same when he's 26. And this is really this is great, because it shows a great stabilization, potentially hair thickening, but because his hair on the left hasn't been miniaturized more than 50%, it doesn't look like miniaturized more than 50%. That's why we don't even see that finasteride hair thickening power in this candidate, because his hair miniaturization wasn't very high in the hairline, maybe just slight. We usually see the best hair thickening with guys whose hair miniaturized maybe 30, 40, 50%. This is when finasteride can really show its hair thickening power, especially if it's a good hair responder to finasteride. So in this case, you can be really happy. We can talk about really good hair loss stabilization for the time of 3 years. As far as hair thickening, this could be precisely estimated with a trichoscopic hair evaluation. If he would have done a before and after evaluation, I think he would have seen some improvements in the hair diameter thickening over time, but visually it's not a big difference. We agree on that. As far as regrowing his hair and his hairline, moving from let's say a Norwood 2.5 back to Norwood 1.5 or Norwood 1 even, I don't see it happening with him. And I think he's the type of guy who has naturally high hairline and maybe a bigger forehead, and that's why we don't see the hairline growing back so drastically, because I think he has always had this higher forehead. Let's go to the guy number 4. He's been on finasteride for 1.5 years, and he was taking it every day with ketoconazole, and for 6 months he has been also adding RU58841. This guy actually started with finasteride for first year, and he was able to stabilize his hair loss, and then he added RU58841, and then he said that after 6 months after being on RU58841 additionally, which is a topical anti-androgen experimental substance which some guys report that works for for them. There are many anecdotal reports, but no real studies or placebo-controlled trial on this research substance. This guy achieved visible hair regrowth on the hairline, apparently with RU, because he has been on finasteride for a year and he just noticed stabilization, no hair regrowth whatsoever, probably not even hair thickening. It was something similar probably to this guy, but with additional use of RU58841, he was able to grow some hair on or become a lower Norwood pretty much, as you can see here. Obviously, by adding some other stimulant or other topical that is known for potentially inhibiting or slowing down androgenetic alopecia progression, you can experience additional benefits. So this guy decided to upgrade or add RU next to finasteride. The same could have been also with adding minoxidil and microneedling. If you add minoxidil with microneedling, this would be actually more advisable because that's something which is way more researched, way more backed up than RU58841. This guy decided for RU. It's his choice, and it seems like it was working. It worked for him pretty well, actually. But I think most of the guys would have been able to achieve that with his condition by adding just minoxidil and microneedling after that first year of being on finasteride. This is the gentleman number 5. His progress 1 year on finasteride 1 milligram. The photo on the right is actually the before photo and the photo on the left is after. Unfortunately, I wish this guy would have showed us this portion of his hairline better, because we see it here. This is actually before photo. The photo on the right is before and this one is after, by the way. I wish this area here would be uncovered more, because what this guy did, he kind of uncovers this area but on the before photo, and he keeps it like covered here. I mean, it looks like his hair has at least more volume on the after photo here. I mean, this definitely looks like it's more volume. Maybe it's like due to styling, who knows? But I would definitely say that there is not only hair loss stabilization achieved, but also potentially hair thickening. Hair regrowth, probably not, but definitely no further hair loss progression. So at least we can conclude that with this before and after demonstration. Here's the 6th before and after result of another guy who has been on finasteride for more than a year, actually 1.5 years. And this is his before situation. We see especially the thinning here around his corners on both sides. And this is him after 1.5 years on finasteride. Here we can see that the hair looks definitely thicker, especially here around his frontal hairline. And also the balding corner got closed a little bit. It just looks fuller. It just gives him a much better frame, and definitely hair regrowth potentially, but more like hair loss stabilization and hair thickening. And I think that's something that he also confirmed. Definitely gave me much thicker hair, and it slowed down his hair loss a bit and also thickened up his hair. He started with finasteride of March 2020, and then he also added minoxidil with the dermapen. But this is a recent update. This is still the finasteride regrowth or finasteride hair thickening and hair loss stabilization, and this here, it's another 2.5 months on minoxidil. But I cannot really see a big improvement, and honestly, not many guys will notice improvement with additional use of minoxidil for only 2.5 months. This is actually the time where some guys can actually shed more hair, and they actually can see like some minor worsening, or some guys major worsening. Depends on how many hairs are at the end of the anagen phase, and these hairs will be weeded out with minoxidil. And if you have many of these hairs who are about to transition from the anagen to the catagen and then telogen phase, then many of them will be shed as a result of minoxidil use, and then they will get back into the new anagen phase after 3 months. To conclude this result, definitely hair loss stabilization, hair thickening, potentially even hair regrowth in the transition area between the temporal hairline and frontal hairline. This is another case, number 7, finasteride 1 milligram for 1 year, and this guy is also considering whether he should add minoxidil or not. Let's see how the before situation used to look like. So okay, we see that the frontal third, especially the hair quality, is pretty good still. It's pretty thick, but we see that before, you know, the hairline, we see that the hairline has started to miniaturize already, especially in the first centimeter of his hairline, and it looks like a recent hair miniaturization, which could be maybe saved with medication like finasteride. And this is already the after result, and we can see that the hair got definitely strengthened, not only the hair in the central region in the frontal third, but also we don't see so many miniaturized hairs in the front as we can see on the photo here, right? Look at this. So it's definitely working for this guy. We talk about hair thickening, not hairline regrowth, honestly. It's more like hair thickening. We see hair loss stabilization, and definitely not hairline regression despite being on finasteride. And especially if you take a look at this area here, we'll see how these little hairs, which you can see here, get longer and thicker. Look at that. It just looks much thicker, and they're more pigmented as well, and that's pretty much what finasteride is able to do. And I'm sure that if he would add minoxidil with microneedling, these hairs would even grow longer, they would look more thicker and get even more pigment over time with that additional minoxidil boost. This is the candidate number 8 who is also providing the 3-year update, which is really cool too. This will be his before photo here. You can see the hairline is receding on the corners. On one corner it looks like it's more receded than the other corner. That's the front, that's the left. This corner is more receded here in my opinion. And this is the 1-year result, and that's the corner that was more receded, and it seems like it's actually looking more healthier, and the hair is looking thicker, and it seems like it's definitely less receded, guys. It's definitely less receded, although this is more from like the top perspective. This is more like from the side, but nonetheless I feel like it definitely looks like he's reduced the distance between the eyebrow to the start of the hairline. Now, if we compare the hair from here, I don't see a big difference, to be honest, probably just hair loss stabilization. If we take a look at it from this side, let me see if yeah, there is another. So this is after 1 year and this is before, maybe a minor improvement. And if we take a look at his 3-year update, where he additionally used minoxidil as well for 8 months already, we can definitely see an improvement if we look back at the day 1. Look at this. Before he even used finasteride or minoxidil, look at the hairline shape here before, and this is after. So definitely he was able to close the corners, the balding corners much better, and his hairline has a much better frame than before. Look at that. But yeah, we're talking about 3 years, guys. This is, if you achieve that in 1 year, then you are a really good responder to finasteride. Here we have another gentleman who've been on finasteride for a year, and this is his left temple before. This is after. Honestly, I don't see much difference. It seems like hair loss stabilization at best. This is also his right temple. This is before, this is after. Yeah, his hair is naturally very fine, so it doesn't even look like his frontal third got thicker or anything. It's just naturally fine hair. He definitely didn't regrow any hair, but fortunately no further hairline regression despite being on finasteride. So at least it seems like he's able to manage his hair loss. So that would be the conclusion. He's also concluding that it's probably a good time to add stimulation to his regimen, like minoxidil with microneedling. That would be definitely something I would consider in his case. If his goal is to fill out these receding temples a little bit better, that's definitely something I would be doing. And yeah, there are some guys who are suggesting him the same pretty much. Here is another result, 12 months of taking finasteride 1.25 milligrams. So again, he's cutting the Proscar 5 milligram tablet into 4 pieces, and he also added minoxidil only 3 months ago, but he's showing us the finasteride only results. Here we can see the baseline on the left, we can see the 9 months on finasteride, and we see that his crown area, it seems a little bit thicker and darker. So definitely this here got definitely thicker if you compare it. So there are some areas which got thicker here and there compared to the before. There is an improvement, but a bigger improvement we can see after adding minoxidil for 3 months only. We can see this here at the bottom. This is already minoxidil and finasteride improvement. It's amazing. It's actually pretty amazing, to be honest. He added 0.5 milliliter of minoxidil once a day, and he said that he's only applying minoxidil to the crown right here. But he said that he started finasteride and waited 9 months to see how much it could do, and he maintained and thickened what he had left, but got only very minor regrowth. So at month 9 he added minoxidil, but at low dose of 0.5 milliliter once a day, because he's only applying it to the crown, because he never liked using it twice a day. And he also started microneedling once a week with 1 millimeter dermaroller, and after 3 months he's getting a lot of regrowth in the crown, still lacking a lot of density, but he's super happy with the results considering where he was a year ago. Yes, he should be very happy. Look at that, his crown is really good. If you start minoxidil between the month number 3 and number 6, this is where minoxidil effectiveness peaks, and that's why you can start seeing very good results pretty quickly if you respond well to minoxidil to begin with. Many guys don't respond because they don't have enough sulfotransferase expression in the scalp, and that's why unfortunately minoxidil is not going to work for them. So if we only talk about finasteride and exclude that minoxidil part, we can all still see nonetheless that he was able to achieve some additional hair thickening with finasteride only. He was able to stabilize his hair loss. Definitely there was no further hair loss despite of being on finasteride, and he didn't show us his hairline from the front, so I cannot say whether he was able to grow his hairline a little bit back or not on finasteride only. It's very hard to tell. All right, everybody, these were the 10 results that you were able to see from like 10 random guys who decided to get on finasteride for at least 1 year, and some of them added minoxidil, and you know how that game works, usually based on what you want to achieve. If finasteride effects will not satisfy you after a year or a year and a half, you still want something more, then you can start with something else like minoxidil and microneedling. There were some anecdotal reports of guys using RU58841 additionally, like topical anti-androgen. Some guys upgrade to dutasteride. There are some alternatives that you could explore. There is definitely also hair restoration. If you are way far from what you want to achieve with your hairline, if after 1 year on finasteride you are still way far from what you want to achieve, then probably hair restoration will be the next step. In such case, visit our Facebook group with over 3,200 members. There are guys who are discussing these topics in the group all day. Every single day there are some new posts, so check it out. If you want to support my channel, again, like this video, subscribe, and visit my website mattdominance.com, where you can get one of my hair transplant related guides. You can apply for a one-on-one consultation with me, where I can help you out with your hair loss management and hair transplant research. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be seeing you soon in another video. Take care.